The story of Pharaoh's hardened heart is one that has puzzled people for generations. It feels heavy, even a little confusing. Why would God make someone stubborn? Why would he make it harder for Pharaoh to do the right thing? At first, it might seem unfair, even harsh. But when you slow down and look closely, the story begins to reveal something deeper, something about human choice, pride, and the quiet ways God works through our decisions. Pharaoh was the king of Egypt, powerful and proud. He had everything: wealth, authority, and control over a great nation. And he believed that power belonged to him alone. When Moses came to him with a message from God, "Let my people go," Pharaoh didn't just refuse. He resisted with everything in him. Not because he didn't understand, but because he didn't want to lose control. At the beginning of the story, something important happens that is easy to miss. Pharaoh hardens his own heart. Again and again, he chooses to say no. He sees signs, wonders, and miracles. He sees that something greater than him is at work. But each time, he digs in deeper. He becomes more stubborn, more resistant. Like someone who keeps closing a door until it finally won't open anymore. Think about that feeling. Have you ever known you were wrong, but still refused to admit it? Maybe it was something small, an argument, a mistake, but instead of softening, your heart tightened. The more you resisted, the harder it became to change. That's how the human heart works sometimes. The more we push away truth, the more difficult it becomes to accept it. As the story goes on, the Bible says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. This is where many people feel confused. But it doesn't mean God forced Pharaoh to become something he wasn't. Instead, it shows that God allowed Pharaoh's own choices to grow stronger. God didn't create the stubbornness, Pharaoh did. God simply let it take its full course. It's a bit like sunlight on clay and wax. The same sun that melts wax will harden clay. The difference is not in the sun, it's in the material. God's presence, His power, His truth, these things can soften a willing heart. But for someone determined to resist, they can have the opposite effect. Pharaoh saw the same miracles that could have led him to humility. Instead, they made him more defiant. Each plague was not just a punishment, it was also an opportunity. A chance to change. A moment to say, "I was wrong." But Pharaoh kept choosing pride. And God, in His wisdom, allowed those choices to stand. There's something deeply human in that. God does not treat us like robots. He doesn't force us to love Him or obey Him. He gives us the freedom to choose. And that freedom is powerful. It means our choices matter. But it also means our choices shape us. Pharaoh's heart didn't harden overnight. It happened step by step. Decision by decision. Every no made the next no easier. Every act of pride made humility feel further away. And yet, even in this difficult story, there is purpose. God was not just dealing with Pharaoh. He was also rescuing His people, the Israelites, who had been suffering for years. Through these events, God showed His power not just to Egypt, but to the world. He revealed that no earthly king, no matter how strong, could stand against Him. Sometimes, God allows people to follow their chosen path. Even when it leads to destruction, not because He wants harm, but because He is working in a bigger picture. A picture we may not fully see. For the Israelites, watching Pharaoh refuse again and again must have been painful. Each delay meant more waiting, more suffering. But in the end, their freedom came in a way that left no doubt. It was clear that it was God who saved them. And Pharaoh? His story is a warning, but also a lesson. A hardened heart doesn't happen all at once. It grows slowly when we ignore what is right. When we cling to pride. When we refuse to listen. It reminds us to stay open, to stay humble, to be willing to change. Because the truth is, every heart can go in one of two directions. It can soften, becoming kinder, more open, more willing to listen. Or it can harden, becoming closed, resistant, and proud. God invites us toward softness. Toward humility. But He won't force it. That's what makes love real. That's what makes choice meaningful. So when we hear that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, we shouldn't imagine a cruel act. Instead, we can understand it as God allowing Pharaoh's own decisions to take root fully. God used even Pharaoh's stubbornness to bring about something greater, a powerful rescue, a lasting story, and a lesson that still speaks today. And maybe that's where this story meets us. Because we all have moments where we can choose to listen or ignore, to admit or deny, to soften or harden. The story of Pharaoh isn't just about a king long ago. It's about the quiet battles inside every heart, even ours. And the question it leaves us with is simple, but important. When truth stands in front of you, what will your heart choose?